Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for coming in. Happy Monday, happy MLK Day. And today we're going to be talking about the Switchpod. For those of you who don't know what the Switchpod is, actually, my friend and I, Caleb, we invented something. We're going to talk a little bit about what the invention is for and kind of how we got started. And I'll share with you some of the fun things related to the packaging and the prototyping. We have it here. Here's a Switchpod. Put a camera on top, ready to put it down, flick it open, tripod in a second. And we have a lot of fun things to chat about in terms of how we got here and some of the things that we're likely going to do moving forward. So good afternoon. Thank you. We got GTO, Antonica, Jen, Sue, Chris, Samson, Bernard. We got, let's see, Nilufer, Andrew, Goose. Oh, my mic is off? I sound distant? Ah, okay. Hold up. There we go. That should sound better now. So thank you, chat. I'm glad we got that all figured out. But welcome in today. Today, we are talking about the Switchpod, and it's a device that my partner Caleb and I created. And we're going to talk a little bit about the launch of it and what's working, what's not working, some of the big challenges that we've had too. And I think this will be pretty insightful because a lot of you may have ideas for physical products. And as we approached this physical product invention, it was something that we had never done before. So we've learned a lot. We want to pass on that information to you. And so welcome to the show. Here we go.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream. All while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
All right. So sorry for the technical error. It happens sometimes. And that's a big lesson because sometimes you think things are going to go one way and then they kind of zag and go the other way. But I'm grateful for letting me know for that, that you let me know that that was the case. So anyway, let's talk about the Switchpod. The Switchpod is an invention, and it helps people who have a camera. Number one, get the camera a little bit further away from them. And then if you want to put the camera down, you don't have to fiddle with it. You can just turn it into tripod mode like that. Satwick says, hey everyone, it's my birthday. Yo, Satwick, congratulations to you. Happy birthday. That's exciting. Let's see. So let's just get right into it. And I have a special guest with us today. I didn't tell you that we were going to have a special guest today, but we do have a special guest today. None other than my partner in crime and partner and person who helps me film most everything that I do. And that is Mr. Caleb Wojcik. What's up, Caleb? How are you, my friend?
What's up, Pat? Happy Monday. Glad to be here.
So your camera looks amazing, by the way, and that's to no surprise because you are my camera guy. Everything I've learned about video and audio with video has come from you. And just, hey, chat, let's welcome Caleb in. Caleb and I invented the Switchpod together. Why don't you, let's start really quick for those who don't know the origin story of the Switchpod. Why don't you start with where this thing even came from? How did we even start this process?
Well, you and I were at a video conference 2-3 years ago at this point, and we were there. You were speaking, I think, just trying to learn as much as we could about YouTube, and we just saw everyone there using this GorillaPod thing, this bendy tripod that they're trying to hold out and film themselves and fiddle with and trying to set down again. And I remember I think it was the last day or the last night or something. I turned and I was like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something that someone could use to make this thing better, to make these people less frustrated. And we're like, well, what would it be like? And yeah, that sort of thing. And then Richie Norton, who works at a company called Product, walked up and he was like, dude, we should make that. And you and I are like, what are you talking about? We're just complaining about random things in the world like we always do, like could be better. And he was like, no, like we make physical products. And you had him on your podcast, and one thing led to another. A few months later, we started prototyping it and coming up with ideas, and we didn't really know where it was going to go. We weren't really planning on creating this brand business between the two of us, but one thing led to another, and eventually we ended up making a product.
Right. Now, we make it sound a lot easier than it actually was. There were several different prototypes, from like a cardboard version to a lot of 3D printed versions, and then eventually like an aluminum version and a metal one. How many prototypes did we actually go through, and how long before we like landed on the final version of this thing, if you remember?
I think it took us a full year to go from initial idea to final prototype. And the number of prototypes, I mean, the physical versions that I have are at least a dozen. there were some interstitial like ones that are only in a computer program, but like 3D printed or machined out of metal, there are at least a dozen of them.
Yeah. And so if you have an idea for a physical product, you definitely want to get into prototyping it and making it messy, making it dirty, just so you have your hands on it, so you can understand it a little bit more. It's one thing to see it on a computer. It's another thing to like actually hold it. There's actually a lot of companies out there that will actually print your idea. You could just have an engineer or somebody create it for you. You can hire somebody to do that for you. We, like Caleb said, reached out to Richie Norton from Product, like Proud Product, and he has the engineering team and the ability to create these prototypes as well as helping with the manufacturing and stuff. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I think that really the thing here is to help that helped us the most is like giving these prototypes to our physical to our target audience sort of right away to help them poke holes in it, help us understand what it is that we need, what it is that we didn't need to do. And, if we had just built something and sort of hoped, like what most people do, it probably would have failed because that first prototype wasn't even really close to what this thing actually was. So let's see. Samson says, audio is all over the place, Pat. You are much lower than Caleb. Am I? Okay, let me move myself up a little bit. There we go. Let me move Caleb down. Okay, that should be better. Thank you so much. So when it came to sharing this idea, Caleb, why do you think that, I don't even know exactly, like we just kind of went right into, hey, let's share this with everybody and get as many people to talk about it as much as possible. And like I said, a lot of people kind of hold their ideas in. What were the biggest benefits that we received from just sharing this, even when it was messy and dirty?
I think the biggest thing was we have whatever ideas we wanted about the product, but until we had outside input on it, it would only take it so far. That was, you and I coming up with sketch ideas, but then bringing in an engineer and having him actually figure out like, okay, well, what material would it be? And like what actual sizing and spacing would it need to be? Then we worked with him for a bit. And then, we would show it privately to people, friends that came into your studio while we were doing collabs with them for YouTube, or I would show it to my friends at different video events and, get their opinion about it kind of privately. And then it got to what I would consider to be, it was like a good enough phase. Like we could have produced it at this phase when we went to VidCon and we showed it publicly for the first time. We were walking up to strangers or just kind of playing with it in the hallway and people would walk on and be like, wait, what is that thing? And once we got to that stage and started talking about it on the internet and published videos about it, then it was even more feedback. And a big part of that is like, what feedback are you going to incorporate and what things are you not? Are you going to take the person's advice that says, oh, this should be like $10, or the person that's like, oh, I'd pay like $300 for this thing. You kind of have to sift through and average out the feedback. But that also helped build buzz. The small amount of people that heard about it, that maybe joined our email list or followed us on social as we talked about it, that led one thing to another. And then, we go to another event and people are like, oh, I've heard about this thing. And so it started to have a life of its own, even before it was available for sale or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, thank you to Karma Cashflow here with the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. Charles here in the chat is basically agreeing with us with how important it is to have those iterations, and he himself is a product designer too, which is really cool. So thank you, Charles, for plugging in there. I do want to fast forward a little bit because there's so many things, and we've talked about this before. There's videos on both of our blogs and both of our websites and both of our YouTube channels about the process and a lot of the sort of big lessons learned, big mistakes that we've made. But I do want to fast forward to when we launched this thing and then start talking a little bit about sort of what we're planning from here. So we launched this thing in February of 2019 on a Kickstarter platform or Kickstarter campaign, as you can see here. We launched this thing, and with 60 days to earn $100,000, which was our funding goal, to have enough money to pay for the tooling and the manufacturing and such, we ended up earning $415,000 with over 4,000 backers, which was, it kind of just blew us away. And Caleb, you were very, very hands-on on the actual Kickstarter campaign. Why do you think it was so successful? I thought we would get our goal, but I didn't know we'd get our goal this quickly and blow it out of the water this much. What do you think contributed to that the most?
I think it's a mixture of a bunch of different things. One is existing audience. So your existing audience, my existing audience, you have a lot of creators in your audience that do podcasting and video and blogging, and this is a tool specifically for that. My much smaller audience that is very focused on video production. So that's we both had existing audiences to launch to on day one, and we were building buzz, communicating that launch was coming. So right when it launched, we reached $10,000. We were up to $50,000 in 6 hours with our internal launch, as well as we had a couple of friends make videos about it within the first few hours too. Levi Allen made a video. Dave over at Kinotika at the time made a video about it. And those, as affiliates, also helped get the momentum going. So that was the initial thing, was us building buzz, getting a couple other people. And then we had one big push from Peter McKinnon, who made a video about it. And there's a whole backstory behind how he made a video about a product that isn't out yet, that we could tell if you wanted to. But it was that kind of thing where it was like, we launched to our audience and brought in some other people to share it. And then, it just kind of takes a life of its own at that point. But I don't feel like we got a ton of help we didn't run ads in the beginning. We didn't really get featured on Kickstarter. So it was a lot of just like boots on the ground, like, hey, ask a couple of our friends, do what we can on our own, and just kind of see how it starts.
Yeah, it was a lot of networking. And for anybody who's been following my journey on my new Pokemon YouTube channel, it's a very similar start. Let's get involved in the community. Let's put ourselves out there and see what people need help with and see how we might be able to provide value to them. I had connected with Peter McKinnon through an introduction at an event, offering some help with his podcast, and kind of things went from there. So definitely a strategic approach, yes, but we definitely feel like we definitely got lucky too at the same time with a lot of these happenstance moments and opportunities. But at the same time, you kind of make your own luck, right? We didn't have to go to that event. We didn't have to sort of try to get into the same room as these people. And we did that. But of course, at the same time, we were very careful to not be too aggressive and not be super sort of just pushy with people. And we wanted to have people be interested back in what we had to offer. And then a lot of people supported us along the way there. So like we said, $415,000 on the launch. Many people see that and go, wow, you guys are rich. And we're like, no, we're not, because most of that money, in fact, zero of those dollars went back to us. It all went back into the business and then creating the prototypes and packaging and shipping and all this stuff. And we're very proud of the packaging here. Let me go full screen for me really quick so that you can just get a sense of this. This was Caleb's design. The logo was actually picked up by a single designer on 99 Designs, which is really cool. We found a designer we liked there. We didn't run a contest for it. We found a designer that we liked, and he created the Switchpod logo, which is really cool. And then the box, which was developed by the product team. Caleb designed the artwork for it, and I think it's really clean, really minimal. Definitely very different in the space of tripods, which are more of a red color, red and black and white. We're going yellow, right? We're going different. We got my son right there, Keone, and my son and I back there too, which is pretty cool. So really, really proud of what we've been able to do here. So perhaps people haven't really kept up to date with what has been happening since the launch. Caleb, how would you describe what has happened since really October 2019 when people started to finally get this in their hands? How has the business been going, would you say?
Well, I think it's interesting because we had a very public success. We had a very public launch, a lot of buzz around that, and attention and comments and all that kind of stuff. And then when it comes to running your business, the days after the launch is all the private stuff you have to do. You're replying to customers, you're dealing with shipping issues, you're thinking about, okay, what are our next products? What kind of accessories could we add to this? What other things could we invent? What other things could we invest in research and development to have another big success? So I think it turns into a lot of private things, but doing the private work, doing the day-to-day management of getting new retailers on board to sell your product, or getting your Amazon listing up, as frustrating as that was for us with people using our UPC codes and stuff. So, it's a lot of this like private grind, like get in the trenches and do the work each day to continue to grow this business. And that's where the private like financial success comes from. The public Kickstarter launch and the big numbers there was a big impact for us to invest in a lot of inventory, but then to sell that inventory, it's a lot of private work. It's a lot of trial and error with who to work with, how to promote it, how to get the name out there, fixing manufacturing issues. And it's just a lot of a lot of like the non-sexy stuff, honestly, like doing the big launch, doing the Kickstarter campaign, getting like the attention, that stuff's sexy. But once that's over, it's like, okay, now how am I going to run this business from day to day? How are we going to keep making sales? How are we going to keep staying current and keep, the demand up for this product?
Yeah, and that's been a very interesting journey for sure. I mean, we're lucky that we finally got on Amazon. That was a huge chore. It felt like we asked a lot of people for help. It wasn't easy. Amazon does not make it easy, and their customer service is not that great for sellers, unfortunately, which is crazy because that's how they make most of their money, is by getting other people to sell on their platform, and then they take a cut. We had a person, actually, a few things related to this. We actually had an event, a Vid Summit in 2019. This was in October 2019. We did a partnership with Vid Summit, and they bought a whole bunch of them and put their logo on it, which was really cool. But then we had a person actually steal a whole bunch of them from the back room and then start selling them on Amazon, and they were undercutting us. And so we had to deal with that. Just like these things came up. I know you get emails almost every day, perhaps, from customers who either have, something happen, or they thought something was supposed to be one way, or they didn't get their package in time. What about the tracking? There's so many things. So there's a lot for sure. A lot of people just see the launch, like you said, and that's it. But the private stuff behind the scenes is what I think will really make the long-term success of the business. And again, thank you for the support with that. As we do that, we are continuing to explore new options and other things. We've since launched a few other things, for example, other products that you could potentially pick up. And I'll pop in the website here so everybody can see. But here's the Switchpod website. The website actually had a makeover, which looks really nice. And this is just running on Shopify, right? Like, what's the engine that's selling everything for us, Caleb?
It's based on Shopify. And then I purchased a custom theme for, I don't know, $100, $200 or something like that. But then everything else is, photography that me and my wife took. You're in the shots, I'm in the shots, we try to keep the expenses pretty low in this business, not much overhead. It's pretty much just paying us and paying the product to get made. And yeah.
Karma here says, I've purchased over 25 Switchpods since launch. Thank you, Karma. I buy them to give them their friends and family to make sure everyone has one. Thank you, man. Dude, that means a lot. And we're looking right here at the second product that we came out with. This was the ball head. There's a kind of interesting story about this one. I don't know if you don't mind us sharing it, Caleb. If not, I totally get it. But the way this came about, and of course, the best customers that you have are your existing customers. And what better way to sell something new than to add value and add another accessory? So give us the backstory about this ball head, because it actually is doing really, really well.
I think the very first question we got when we launched the Kickstarter campaign is there a ball head? That was like the most asked question via social media and that sort of thing. And we didn't even know if the Switchpod was going to be successful, so we didn't plan a ball head accessory when we first started. But when I went to the factory between the Kickstarter launch and when we started shipping all of them to the Kickstarter backers and our customers, I talked with the factory people and I was like, okay, we want a ball head. What do you think we should do? And the factory we work with makes a lot of tripods and things like that. They're based in China, and their engineers there are experts in this kind of equipment. And so they had this showroom with a bunch of different tripods and ball heads and stuff. And I literally tried every single one of them there to see how the ball heads functioned. And I wanted it to be quick and strong and all the different things that Switchpod is. And I found one, and they said, oh, actually, we designed that one. So it wasn't licensed from any other company. No other company had the rights to it necessarily. So what we did is we partnered with them to modify it to fit perfectly on Switchpod, to look like a Switchpod, same paint finish, same materials. And, so that sped up the process of making a new product that could work with what we had already. So we launched that, I think, exactly 1 year ago after our Kickstarter, or 1 year after our Kickstarter campaign. And yeah, it was a hit. And it's easier to sell to people that have already paid you money. So, trying to think about, okay, what are they asking for? And people asked about smartphone adapters, or we were recommending a lot of smartphone adapters to people. So we came up with our own. And we're just trying to continue to do that, trying to see what people are asking for. There's so many products on the market in camera, photo, video space. We're not trying to just copy anybody, but if we can modify existing ideas to better suit our customers, is what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. So one interesting story that happened with the ball head, first of all, it was really cool that that kind of already existed, and we just kind of modified it a little bit for the Switchpod. That's very common, in fact, that a lot of businesses do. They don't necessarily invent something totally brand new. They just take something that exists and change it around a little bit on the manufacturing level, and then put their own logo on it and sell it. That's very, very common to do on Amazon. White labeling is sometimes as it's called. There's products that you can check out on Alibaba, I think, where you can see what's being manufactured, and then you can put your logo on it and then sell it through Amazon. Many, many people do that. We just happen to have our own invention, which obviously took a lot longer to get. But then now that we have it, we can add these accessories on top of it, which is really cool. We had a company reach out to us at the beginning of the pandemic, in fact, who wanted to order a significant number of ball heads, like a lot. And we're like, what for? And they're like, well, we're actually going to be including these ball heads. We found that this is like the strongest one that we found that's small. And it was going to be used for imaging for scanners to see if people actually have a fever or, COVID or COVID-like symptoms when walking through particular spaces. And we actually saw some pictures of like this giant sort of thermal reader device with then our ball head on it, with a camera that was like a thermal reader to help manage those ins and outs of those buildings. And that was kind of weird and interesting and kind of cool. So we actually then had to place a larger order for manufacturing and such. So that was a kind of a cool story, and in some way, shape, or form, I feel like we had even a little bit to contribute as far as at least helping people manage the trials and errors of the pandemic, which was pretty interesting. But let's talk about money a little bit, because now that the business has been going for a while, of course, the Kickstarter was a big, significant amount of money, $415,000, all of it of which went to manufacturing and shipping and whatnot. Where are the income streams now in the business coming from? Because we have multiple now.
Yeah, the main ones are our own site. So through Shopify is the most profitable way for us to, get our product to somebody, because there's no middleman, taking a cut. So anytime that we can recommend that people buy through our site, we get a bigger percentage. Anything minus the credit card fee, whatever Shopify takes, that's one way for sure. And then the next one would be Amazon. Amazon's a big retailer for us. So once we got on there and got our products on there, they start to rank. People just sometimes prefer Amazon because, they'll get it in the next day or two with all the other stuff they're buying on Amazon. So, we definitely wanted to be on there. We don't make as much through Amazon as we do if someone buys from our site, but, it's kind of a necessary evil, I would say, to be on Amazon, because that's where I buy a lot of my stuff too. So the other place would be other retailers. So other physical stores and other online stores. We're talking mainly camera type stores, B&H, Adorama, Moment. Those have been three of the big ones here in the US, but we have other smaller ones like DVE Store, some international ones. Like there's one in the UK called vlog.tech. There's ones in other stores around the world as well. And, those have come as a mixture of either us, working hard to get into those stores, or them reaching out cold and just being like, hey, we heard about your product, or people are asking about it. Can we sell it? And those we sell at a margin lower than what we earn from Amazon. So it basically goes like, retailers buy it at this price, Amazon gives us this much if we sell it, and then if we sell it, we make this much money. And then below all that is, how much it costs for us to manufacture and get them here. And then, the margins in there, that's what we can take home and reinvest in the business, or, pay ourselves.
Yeah, and the retail stuff's very interesting, and I know kind of you're taking the lead on that, but a lot of companies have reached out to us wanting to buy a bunch of these. I mean, anywhere from as low as like 10 to sell in their store to multiple hundreds. And of course, like Caleb said, we sell it to them at a little bit lower of a price, but we get a lot more money up front for that because we're selling more. And then we have a warehouse in Utah, in fact, where we just kind of let that person know, oh, this company ordered a whole bunch. Can you ship them all? Any of the orders that come in through Amazon, those kind of work a little bit differently, because Amazon, you actually have to ship Switchpods to Amazon. They then distribute them all around the country, And then when people order them, they can get them in 2 days, and it just calculates which warehouse. And then we get notified if the inventory is running low, at which point we tell our warehouse to send more to Amazon. We just did that recently with some of our ball heads. And, again, we're selling, which is really cool, but we found that there's a lot of interesting nuances to this, especially on Amazon, where sometimes if another company can get your product and sell it, and it's not on a different page, it's on the same page. So that's why when you go to the Amazon sales page, you'll see, it says, these 5 sellers, right? And it depends on the price. There's sometimes price wars. And so we've had to manage that as well. So anyway, I'm going to keep continuing to talk about the Switchpod here, but I just wanted to bring Caleb on because he has so much to contribute. In fact, has been an amazing partner here. And this has been definitely a fun project for us to do together. And it's definitely gotten a lot bigger than I ever thought it would. Any final words of advice for people before I let you go? And then I also know that you have a brand new course out, actually, to help people create good audio for their video. So give us a quick plug for that and some final words of encouragement. And then we'll see you off. And then chat, you and I will continue to remain for the next 30 minutes.
I would say if someone wants to make a physical product, the best thing they could do is to just start prototyping it and getting feedback on it, and ask people that aren't just going to sugarcoat it. Your spouse or your parents or whatever, like they're going to be like, "Oh, that's great, honey." You need to talk to strangers. You need to talk to people that are going to give you critical feedback on it, and be okay with integrating that into your product. And then I would be patient with the launch of it, because you really only get to launch a new product once. And I know towards the end of before we were going to launch it, we pushed our launch a few times, and I was getting frustrated because I really wanted to see how it was going to do. But I'm glad we waited as long as we could, because we wouldn't have had as big of a push just with the timing of, we had a few more final prototypes. We could get them into certain people's hands, and you don't want to wait forever, but you want to wait long enough where your launch is going to be strong. So that'd be my advice for anyone that has a physical product they're trying to, or digital product for that matter. As far as my course, it's called Audio Basics for Creating Video, and you can find more about it at calebw.com and go up into the little gear and courses section at the top, and you can check it out along with my other courses there. But yeah, I'm trying to make these smaller courses that are very specific to pinpoints. I probably want to make one about lighting soon, make one about creating online courses. Like what does it take to film an online course? So trying to play around a little bit with different course ideas as well.
Nice, man. Dude, well, congratulations on the course launch. We appreciate you for coming in and hanging out with us today and giving us something to ponder here, especially for those who are interested this year to look at potentially creating a physical product. We'll probably chat very soon. I don't know if you're going to be on the meeting later today that we have on the calendar, but
yeah, it will be.
Okay, yeah. I'll see you then. All right, man. Thanks so much. Take care. Right. You're the best. Chat soon.
Yeah.
Everybody say bye, Caleb. Bye, Caleb. Cool. All right, chat. Let me pull up a chair. I always find it weird to talk with my AirPods on. I'm just not a fan of talking with something in my ears because I just don't sound doesn't sound natural to me. But again, that was Caleb, my partner on the Switchpod. You can check this out, switchpod.co. I do see a bunch of questions about this, and you're more than welcome to start asking questions. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we discussed, a little bit more in depth. There's a question here from the Roamer that says, when you sell it from your own site, and did that make sense? When we sell it from our own site, we make way more. Like, honestly, a lot more. So whenever we share it, we always say switchpod.co first. And because we're sharing to a lot of creators and we're creators ourselves, we do mention that, like, hey, we actually make more if you go through here, but if you want to get it through Amazon, you can get it there too, because it'll be likely delivered just a little bit faster and through Prime. But again, we say that just because we know that we can make a lot more. But still, we love that the fact that Amazon's doing a lot of the work for us to put ourselves out there. We have 100 plus reviews, I think, and are ranking pretty high with certain keywords. But in terms of Romer, your question here. When you sell it from your own site, but you say affiliates, or when we pay affiliates, and we do have affiliates. In fact, one of the benefits of selling it on our own site when it comes to these partnerships is the fact that, if a person were to take the Switchpod through the Amazon Associates program and sell it as an affiliate, they're only going to get 3 to 5% on it, which isn't much at all. We have 10% as the base, which is really cool. And we reserve some higher percentages for just a few specific people to help them out even more. But we still make more, even in the end after paying affiliates. We still make more because Amazon definitely takes a lot. There's listing fees and all this stuff. It's a headache too. The interfaces are terrible. Customer service is bad. There's a lot of nasty things that happen between different companies, things like that. We also saw another question during the chat related to specifically patents. We do have a patent on it. In fact, we were very careful in the beginning because we had been told to not mention it publicly outside of our trusted circle until we have a patent pending. Once there's a patent pending, you're sort of then welcome to share it because now it's sort of protected in a way, even though you don't necessarily have a patent yet. You filed for it. It takes several months for it to come through, if not sometimes over a year. But we had that available by the time we started talking about this. We also have the term Switchpod trademarked as well, as you might be able to see right there, TM, and that's pretty cool. So it just makes it look official. But yes, we do have a patent, and that is a design patent, not a utility patent, but a design patent, I believe. Or is it a utility patent? It's one or the other. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's the one that if a person were to basically copy the look of the Switchpod and how it works, then we would be protected by that and have the ability to sort of serve papers and such if we needed to. We haven't run into any problems yet, but that's definitely a precaution that you would want to take with a physical product for sure. More fees, of course. Again, starting a physical product and inventing something is not easy. I'm always very curious though, because I've seen these commercials. You may have seen these commercials, in fact, infomercials on television that talk about this idea of, hey, be an inventor. And it's that one commercial with the caveman sort of inventing the wheel and how simple it is. You just have to give him a call. But then, of course, what happens is they take a chunk of that. It's just such an interesting thing. And one of the big reasons, and you might be asking, Pat, like you have a very successful digital product business. You sell courses. You've made millions on that. Why try something that had the potential to fail that was much, much harder? Number one, I wanted to scratch that itch. And many of you know this thing called the 20% itch rule that I talk about, where I leave 80% of the work that I do in the week to do all the things that I need to do. My responsibilities, the things that I've already said yes to, is reserved for that 80%. The other 20% is for fun experimentations like the Switchpod. And the Switchpod was one of those things that actually did work out. I've tried a lot of other things in that 20% of the time that didn't work out, but this one happened to work out, and Caleb is definitely a massive part of that, as well as all the other people who have supported it and other people maybe here who have purchased it and helped spread the word too, which is pretty cool. So yeah. All right. Let me see here. I see it was Pokekinono in the house. This is simply awe-inspiring that you're sharing this process with us. Thank you, My Castle Life. Yeah. Hey, all good. Oh, Pokekinono. Hey guys, thought I'd stop by to say hi. At the hospital, daughter fell playing, hurt her arm, thought I would get distraction while I wait anxious. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Pokekinono. I wish you and your daughter all the best and a speedy recovery. I broke my arm when I was in the 2nd grade. And I remember it from my parents' perspective because they told this story several times. Pretty traumatic, but you recover and all is well. I hope she's okay. And we're all praying for her speedy recovery. Thank you for feeling safe to share that with us here, and as you know, we're here for you. Elvin says TM is an unregistered trademark. You are right, in fact, because this was packaging that was actually created. I have an early edition box. It is registered now, which is good. Good catch, by the way. Good catch. Chris says potential to fail equals potential to succeed. Very true. Imagine giving yourself the possibility to not fail often means that you're just not even trying, right? I love that. Romer says, I can't wait to get to the point where 80% of my work time is streamlined enough to allow 20% just for fun. Yeah, I mean, it can get there. And a lot of it is cutting away the things that may be taking time that actually aren't moving the needle, right? 80%, the 80-20 rule. Journey with Liang says, what would be your advice for someone who has a great invention, ran out of funds, VC or equity for cash? So there's a lot of different options there for sure. You could potentially get a loan for it. Obviously, you got to be careful about who you get this loan from or where you get it from. There's small business loans, potentially grants in some cases, depending on what niche you're in and what it's doing. Many cases, VCs and angels can be very helpful too, but then you have to go through the process of vetting and finding, and of course, offering a part of your business to somebody who may not be that involved. Really, where it's worked out for Caleb and I both is we have this partnership. right? Where we're both a part of this company. We've both put our own money into this, and that's where we've gotten funds from each other. I also can see, for example, a person who is an expert in that field that you're in some way, shape, or form, wanting to be a part of this, wanting to get a piece of the pie, perhaps buying into the company a little bit, and also being a part of it, not somebody on the outside who's just like, oh yeah, here's some money, go, but actually somebody who is actually now a part of the business, Leong, who can get involved too. All right. Switchpod is a cornerstone at one of my affiliate sites. Thank you so much, Fit50. I appreciate you for that. Thank you, guys. You're welcome, Kano. No, we're here for you. Trainer Trey, yes, glad I could catch this one here. I definitely got to catch a Switchpod ASAP. Professor Oak. Thank you, Trainer Trey. I appreciate you. Again, switchpod.co if you want to check it out. But I wanted to talk more about this process because part of what's been interesting is what have we tried to do to continue to grow. Like Caleb said, when we launched this thing back in 2019, this thing launched with a bang. We had a lot of buzz, a lot of noise behind it. As you can see here again, for those of you coming late, this was very successful. This Kickstarter campaign had 4,148 backers, and they pledged $415,000. Again, like I said, many people see that and they go, wow, you're rich, you made it. No, all that money went to actually manufacturing these things and packaging and shipping. And we also had to deal with tariffs. That was an unexpected surprise, if you will. We had to pay an additional percentage, and it wasn't an insignificant amount. I mean, we're talking high five figures just because of the tariffs and the laws between the different countries, because this is indeed manufactured in China. That was something that I was worried about as well, because, you know, you hear stories and whatnot, and you know, number one, I just wanted to make sure, A, that like kids weren't working on this thing, but B, that everybody in the factory was taken care of and such. And so Caleb actually went to China to go with the team from Product who set this all up for us, really, and to go and make sure everything was cool and actually get in there. And it was actually really important for Caleb to do that, because as these things were coming off the line for the first time, Caleb caught some things that really, really mattered in terms of how this opens and closes, and sort of a lot of the screws up here that weren't necessarily working right off the line. But we're very proud of this. Now, I wanted this thing to be produced in the United States. You know, made in America, that seal on it means a lot to a lot of people, including myself. However, when we ran the numbers, it would have been virtually impossible with how much it would have cost. And this is just, you know, it's one of those things. It's like, well, that's not cool, but that's how it is. But at the same time, we also had to consider, okay, if we get this thing manufactured in China at a significantly cheaper price, a lot of those savings would go to the creators who would then end up using this thing, right? And then imagine how many of those creators will now have a much easier time creating to help serve others. So that was a story I was telling myself. And again, we've looked and we've done research. We even connected with people who gave us potentially great deals on manufacturing this in the US in the way that it needed to be manufactured, and it didn't even come close. It didn't even come close. Yo, who do we got? We got Fresh and Fit. Thank you so much for the super chat. That means a lot to me. I appreciate you. How to monetize podcasts via Anchor or Buzzsprout? Cool. So I'll answer that really quick because you were so kind enough to offer a super chat. But again, for those of you coming in, we're talking about my invention here, along with my partner Caleb, who was in earlier, called the Switchpod, a vlogging apparatus. Put your camera on top, you can open it up, turn it into tripod mode. I see this on a lot of people's desks now, which is really cool. And it's so much easier and less clunky, not that bendable tripod that we all know about, which is interesting because, first let me answer this question, but I do want to talk about competition, if that makes sense. So Fresh and Fit, how to monetize a podcast. 4 ways to do this. Number 1, you can do podcast sponsorship and advertising, which you may not be able to do right away because you might not have the download numbers, but definitely something to strive for potentially. Number 2, this is the easiest way to do it, would be through affiliate marketing, recommending and promoting other people's products. If you had a podcast about film and cinematography and you go, hey, you know, we are partnered with Switchpod, you can check out their stuff at switchpod.co and use this coupon code or go through this link here, and that then ties to an affiliate link and account for you, such that you earn 10% of every sale. And this being a $100 product, every Switchpod you sell, you would get $10, which is pretty dope. And so that's one way to do it. And of course, make sure those products align with your audience and their target goals. Number 3, you can monetize through selling your own products. So if you invented something of your own, or if you have a product or a coaching program or what have you, you can do it that way. And then number 4 would be something like Patreon or some sort of tip jar type model where you can have your fans and your listeners want to support you and no ads, no products, just, hey, from the goodness of our heart. Maybe they get in exchange some access to you or some other goodies, but that would be a great way to do it too. So hopefully that answers your question. Now let's talk about competition a little bit. We knew that we wanted to take some of the market share from those who were using their GorillaPods in order to move their phone around or camera and travel with them and such. So we built this in a way that, yes, made it more convenient to do what we saw a lot of people using the GorillaPod for. So the ability to turn it into a tripod mode really easily, like that, literally one hand without having to bend it and go this way. You can know what the height's going to be every single time. To go and easily travel, this thing is about the size of a penny in terms of height, and it's only 11 grams, which is 11 ounces, it's not even a pound, which is pretty cool. And the GorillaPod's much heavier. At the same time, we knew that we were going to get people to go, whoa, hey, this looks cool, but the legs don't bend. And we're like, yeah, we don't want them to bend. So we had to make a very clear decision to not do certain things. And although that, yes, on the surface makes it seem like it can't reach as many people, it's not as versatile, if you will. Well, you know what? That makes it easy for us, because we go, if you need the legs to bend on this thing, then this is not for you. You can go get the GorillaPod. In fact, we do tell people to go get the GorillaPod if they want their legs to bend. But for those who want to travel, who want the thing to just work and to not sag ever, which we found that the GorillaPod does over time, especially with heavier cameras, we want something that lifts a lot of weight. This can hold 100 pounds. In fact, I've stood on this thing, 160 pounds, and it has not budged one bit. Good craftsmanship, not plastic or rubber, but metal, and people have really appreciated that. But again, very, very specific. If this is for you, great. If it's not for you, great. And that's something that I think we have to be very clear about. This is something that, especially in the physical product space, that's called feature creep. It also is in the software space as well. Feature creep. What that means is all these features start creeping in. A person says they want this. Okay, we'll add it in. A person says they want this. We'll add it in. Okay, let's do all the things. Yay. And what happens is when you do that, you get that remote control that you probably have in your house, chat. Let me know if you have one of these remote controls that has probably like 50 buttons on it, but you literally only use maybe like 2. And that's it, right? So when it comes to creating products, you're going to make your life so much easier by just focusing on the buttons that people are going to push, and not all the other things. And you're going to have to make some decisions on what to leave out, right? Fresh and Fit, thank you again. How many downloads to get sponsors? I would say at least 2,000 to 3,000 downloads per episode to at least even entertain those conversations. It depends on the company, though. Many companies will not even talk to you unless you get 50,000 downloads a month. And if you start to use a middleman company, there's several of them out there who can help sell ads for you. They won't even talk to you unless you have 50,000 downloads a month or $10,000 downloads per episode as well. But if you have a company and they know the benefit of being in front of an audience with a target audience like yours, then you can actually make those deals without those larger numbers. I know all about feature creep or scope creep, says Steve. Yeah, very, very real thing for sure. Trainer Trey says, back in 2019, one of my favorite content creators I've learned from over the years, Peter McKinnon, put me onto the Switchpod, instantaneously thought maximum creativity, functionality, innovation. Thank you, Trey. Yeah, we are so lucky that Peter and I and Caleb had built a relationship ahead of time leading up to the launch, and he was so kind enough to, in fact, create a video for us. Now, that was the ultimate goal. I mean, that was awesome, but honestly, if he didn't do that, just the support that he offered anyway was really great. But we did end up, here's what we did. The prototypes were very expensive. Now, the earlier prototypes literally were free because they were just cardboard, getting the sizing right. And then they went to like 3D printed versions of these. We have a lot of plastic ones that were 3D printed that maybe cost $25, $30. So again, functional, but plastic and, breakable. Eventually, we got into the metal prototypes once we started to nail the function and the look of this thing. And what was really neat was we got these and they were metal, but unfortunately, they were very expensive. $1,500 for one of these things at the prototype version. Why was it so much? Because somebody had to literally take a clunk of aluminum and chisel it out, or, tool it out. They weren't like, actually chiseling it out, but they had a machine to cut it out and turn it into what we wanted it to turn. And it took a long time, a lot of labor, a lot of material to get that down. And so $1,500 per prototype. And we had two that one Caleb had, one that I had that we could use and share and whatnot. But then we were like, you know what? it would be amazing because Peter was very inspirational to us if we made another prototype and literally sent it to him to just have. And he could have it. Yes, it's $1,500, but hopefully maybe he mentions it or something, whatever he can do, great. But if not, it's all good because this is something we think he should have, and hopefully he'll love it so much to want to share it. Well, we got this box. We put a lot of the, those like Easter egg basket sort of like fluff in it to make it look nice. We put a Switchpod in it, tied a little bow on it, and we wrote a handwritten note as well. And we offered him to sign up as an affiliate, and we created a nice little personalized video that we linked to saying thank you. And again, no expectations. And then on the day that this launched, we saw that Peter McKinnon took his prototype Switchpod, filmed a video about it, and blew us out of the water. And this is how we reached our funding goal of $100,000 within 11 hours and 26 minutes. Now, we were halfway there without Peter, so we were going to get there anyway. I need to make that clear because Peter definitely helped, and people often say, oh, you guys are only successful because Peter did it. No, we would have been successful, we just wouldn't have had this much noise about it. But that definitely helped a lot. And again, relationships, trying to help this other person out. Peter was starting a podcast with his boy Maddie, and I offered to help with that too. So relationships, man, relationships went a very, very long way. Kyle says, it's great you guys got to see the Switchpod as it was being made. I learned a lot doing Amazon FBA. Mostly, I didn't like leaving quality control up to the supplier. Yeah, again, Caleb went to China to see these things come off the line and make sure they're great. And I'm sure that with a lot of FBA type stuff, you actually never even see the product, and you kind of have to just hope and pray that there's no issues, or else your whole account's going to get knocked for having terrible reviews, and we definitely don't want that to happen, right? Hey, all late to the party, says Kathy. No worries. Thank you, Ed, for the super chats, everybody. For someone with an audience, would you recommend pursuing a physical product for diversification or focus on digital products, Pat? So I know you have a much rather larger audience. If there is a huge pain point that that you could create or work with somebody to create a physical product, it's not even necessarily a diversification issue. I've been having a lot of internal thoughts about diversification as I dive even deeper into the stock market, because I don't have a lot of stocks. And I've been hearing a lot of great advice recently that I do agree with, that is in alignment with my stock investing strategy, which is not to diversify. Diversification is for the weak investor, the investor who doesn't do enough research to really purely find the 10x companies that are going to do really well. Diversification is a safety net for fools, I once heard. And of course, me as a creator who then also diversifies my passive income portfolio, I have to sort of weigh these things as I hear them. And I think in the world of investing, that makes sense to me, right? That's sort of like if you don't think a company's strong enough, then you're building these safety nets around it, and you're losing out on the opportunity to put more of that money into fewer things that are going to work. And this is why Tesla and my stocks in Tesla and NIO have been doing very well, as well as a couple other companies. But I used to have, I think, 50, because they were like strategic, like modern investing strategies. Now, when it comes to making money, however, I think diversification is great because you're at the whims of algorithms and whatnot. But I would only do it, Chuck, if you do have a physical product in mind. And I'm not talking about merch. Merch is sort of a separate thing, right? You're not inventing merch. You're slapping a logo. You're creating this really neat thing for your fans to support you with. I think that's cool too. And Network Chuck with your beard and your logo and probably the fans that you have and how real you are on your channel. I definitely think that would be cool. That would work really, really well. But as far as an actual physical product to create from scratch, an invention like that, it's a lot of work. I gotta say, it's a lot of work. And if you do have the opportunity to create things that are better going to serve your audience in a more digital fashion, I mean, I gotta say, I have absolutely loved every moment of the Switchpod journey. I've learned so much. But let me just zoom in here, because I gotta tell you this. Working on this thing has made me appreciate first of all, it's helped me appreciate, like, oh, that chair over there, somebody had to come up with the idea and manufacture that, and I can just like understand and feel grateful for the physical things, like even like this pen from Kathy, right? Somebody had to design this and create it and manufacture it. Like, it's made me appreciate that more. But you know what else it's also made me appreciate? It's made me appreciate my digital products, because it's so much easier to create digital products. It is so much easier to create digital products. Like, it's not even on the same playing field. It is so much easier. Trey says, wow, that's a legendary story. Thank you. What a significant yet worthwhile 1,500. Yeah, exactly. And it wouldn't be a waste if it didn't even come back to us, because we wanted to give back to somebody who definitely inspired us for sure. Bernard says, there's also the saying that you should not put all your eggs in one basket. True, but at the same time, what if you have to carry all those baskets and you have one egg in each of them? You might actually tumble and fall and all of them will drop versus like the one sturdy basket that you can get. I'm just playing devil's advocate there, right? Was it worth it? Yes. Absolutely worth it for, number one, this particular business is really going places. In fact, there are conversations that we are having with big box retailers right now, which could lead to some additional growth and exposure, which we're really excited about. Unfortunately, as far as margins are concerned, working with big box retailers, it's like, it's kind of a, okay, we're not doing this for the money kind of thing, right? But at the same time, like, we're imagining, you know, who knows, but 2-3 years down the road, a couple more products in the line, we'll see, but potentially selling this thing, right? And taking this thing that was just an idea, turning it into something that could be a big cash out at one point in time. Who knows what's going to happen to it, but it does open up that possibility. And one thing that I love to create is opportunity, right? That's the thing that I want to build more of. Just more opportunity. All the relationships that I've built are all additional opportunities. All the products that I promote, all the inventions, a new opportunity. This new YouTube channel that I've created, a new opportunity. But at the same time, I don't want to just create opportunities. I want to create those opportunities and give them a chance, which is why I don't have 4 YouTube channels and 70 podcasts and 5 inventions, right? So we got to be careful about energy. We got to be careful about focus and its sort of, you know, diversification of focus. I mean, yes, it was definitely worth it, in my opinion. Would you have made more money with the same focus on a digital product? 1,000%. 1,000%. But at the same time, it's not I'm trading this physical product for a digital product. I'm adding this onto what I'm already doing. And then guess what I'm going to do this year? I'm creating a new digital course this year, which is going to make way more than this, most likely, at least up front. But again, the lessons I've learned and the ability for me to now pass on this knowledge to all of you is very valuable to me at the same time. And there is something about the physical product, though, I got to say. This is something that a digital product could never, ever have. And it's that moment where you hand this over to somebody, right? And you open it up. Ooh, look at that, by the way. Made for creators, or made by creators for creators. For tips and tricks, go to switchpod.co/start. When we see somebody using the Switchpod, like literally in a minute, they can get the Switchpod, open it up, and they're like, yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to do, right? And that doesn't happen with online stuff. Maybe a software, maybe. But imagine a person buying your coaching program, a person buying your course. They buy that course, and then they got to do the work in order to get those results, right? When it comes to digital products, the value isn't there until a person uses it. And a person, I mean, that's true with a physical product too, but you know what I mean? It's like buying the thing is step one. They have to do the thing. There's a lot of time between the time they actually get that transformation that they paid for versus bam, right? Bam. Carlos, switchpod.co. Thank you so much. Switchpod.co if you want to check it out. You can also get it on Amazon, but we do get a much, much higher margin if people go through Switchpod, and we'd love to send it to you personally. So, let's see. Yeah, what other questions might you have? Let's see. No worries that you're late. All good. Would you have made more? Yeah, let's see. So this was fun. This was a fun update. And again, we have another product coming out. We are in the prototyping phase. We're doing the same thing. It's actually pretty incredible. When you do something once, the next time you do it, it's so much easier. I mean, I know that sounds kind of, obvious, but when you're in it and when you're trying something completely brand new, like building an invention, now we're on really invention number 2, because these other products that we have, the ball head and the tripod adapter for a phone, is something that those already existed, and we just kind of put our name on it. We definitely obviously modified them a little bit to fit the Switchpod perfectly, and we found the best ones. But this next one that's coming out, product number 4, if you will, is a new invention, something that isn't out there, that we've created from scratch. Same process, except we're not kickstarting it now that we already have an audience. and we are very close to finalizing the entire design. We already have some metal prototypes, so we're already like probably to the 90% point to launching that thing, because I'm reminded of when we reached the same point here. Now, it's not going to be a major product, but it's an accessory that we're really excited to share, and we'll see what happens, but it's kind of fun. I gotta say, it is really fun, and that moment when people sort of see it is really cool. And here's a final story I will tell you. So Caleb and I, you saw Caleb earlier. If you missed that, you can watch the replay. But we were walking around NAB, National Audio Broadcasters, and NAB, Network of Audio Broadcasters, some large event in Vegas. This was in 2019, right before the launch of this thing, right? We had them in our hands because we were walking around, and there's a lot of people who do video over there, and a lot of creators from YouTube go over there too to see all the latest gear, and we run into them in the hallways and stuff. 100,000 people at this event, which is kind of insane. So we went in and we were walking around. We were just holding the Switchpods. We had cameras on them. And what we do is we kind of walk around the conference, just sort of opening and closing this because it is a spectacle. People look and they go, what is that? And then we saw two guys come up to us. We were just walking. We've never seen them before. They've never seen us before. And they go, yo, is that a Switchpod? And we were like, yeah, this is a Switchpod. You want to check it out? And they're playing with it. They're like, dude, we love this thing. We can't wait for this thing to come out. How did you guys get one? And we're like, it's our invention. And they're like, no way, you guys are the ones who invented this? This is so cool. I've been hearing people talk about this, right? And that was the coolest thing in the world. That was the coolest thing, because this is now something that speaks for itself. It is outside of Pat Flynn, and it's very hard to separate Pat Flynn from obviously this YouTube channel, but even my other products, my courses. I'm very much a part of the process. This product, these guys didn't even know we were the inventors. And that is awesome. And I think that's cool. As much as I love recognition, and me as an Enneagram 3 sort of thrive off of that, the fact that we're creating something that is on its own, something that can speak to people, something that people can get excited about and use, is really, really cool. National Association of Broadcasters. Thank you, Samson. So that was probably the coolest thing to happen. I mean, a lot of cool things have happened since doing this. We got to visit MKBHD in New Jersey, and we got to give him a couple that he could use, and we've seen him use them when he goes to Tesla events. He brings a Switchpod, and he mentions it every once in a while, which is really amazing. We've seen a lot of creators. We see him in the wild now. I saw it once in the wild while by the beach in San Diego, and it's like, dude, how crazy is that? I would never know that a person walking in the mall next to me would have one of my online courses unless they told me. But when I see people out in the wild using this, it makes me really, really happy. And I'm really stoked on it. So that's the story, everybody. That's the story. You know what I forgot? I forgot to say the secret word. Oh no, I forgot to say the secret word. It's because we had a guest on today. I blame Caleb. But anyway, I owe you a game of Watch Your Mouth on Friday, and it's only Monday, people. It is only Monday, so hopefully I can get the secret word. And the secret word is pithy, and I missed it today. I have to say it within the middle of the stream, not within 5 minutes from the start or the end. So I missed it. You guys. So that's my bad. So we got to Watch Your Mouth coming. Was the secret word mentioned yesterday? Yes. In fact, it was. Oh, darn it. All right. Well, hey, that's the Switchpod for you. Hopefully this story inspires you. I don't know where Uncle Bill is. Maybe enjoying some family time. Hopefully Bill's okay, and let's all send good wishes to both Poke Kinono and their daughter, as well as Uncle Bill and his cat. Not feeling too well yesterday, so hopefully everything's okay there. And we miss you, Uncle Bill. And hey, thanks again for today. I appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing and serving you tomorrow. Let me get the calendar out so we can see what time we start. Today was kind of a little odd day because it is Martin Luther King Day. Let's all stay safe and sane this week. A lot of events happening this week, obviously. So let's see. Ooh, okay. Tomorrow is a little interesting. Actually, no, it's not. Sorry. We're gonna start at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. tomorrow. So just like normal, 9 a.m. That should be good. 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. That'll be the time for tomorrow. Thank you so much for all the support, all the super chats today. Hopefully this story inspired you related to the Switchpod. Also very proud of the fact that my son and I are on the back, which is pretty cool, in sort of the how-to. Man, what a fun update. It's been really cool. I haven't really thought about the story in a while, and I think it's always good to go back and kind of check how you got here, because yes, it's important to think about and get inspired by that, but also what got you here won't get you there. We got to make some moves, and we have some big plans, and hopefully I can share some fun news for you soon about the Switchpod when it happens. So thank you again, everybody. I appreciate you. Have a great day. You are incredible, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, everybody. Of course, Team Flynn for the win. You're amazing.
This is the income stream to help you achieve your dream. All while we keep it clean. This is the income stream. It's the kind of show where you can come and go, but then you leave inspired with no fee required. The income stream with Pat Flynn.
All right. So happy MLK Day. Stay safe, stay well, be well. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for the support with the Switchpod. Switchpod.co if you want to check out the product. Once again, appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Peace out, everybody. Much love.
Bruh.
Oh, Rohan, thank you. Thank you for that super chat. You're amazing. Bye, everybody.